The department said this footage never existed, but someone, somewhere, decided the world had to see it. It appeared on the dark web under the name October 12, search, raw feed. At first, people thought it was fake, until they matched the officer's badge number to a real missing persons case in West Virginia. What you're about to see was filmed by Officer Daniel Mercer, age 32. His partner, Officer Lisa Carr, 28, never made it back. The Bodycam footage was sealed, deleted, then recovered in fragments. No one can explain why every radio within 5 miles cut out at the exact same moment. Some say the thing in the video wasn't hunting them, it was warning them. So ask yourself before you watch, if the police refused to release this, what did they see that night that made them so afraid? The footage begins with calm professionalism. Radio chatter, protocol, standard procedure. Officers Mercer and Carr check in with dispatch, logging coordinates near the old mining trail. Their voices sound steady, unaware of what's ahead. Then, without warning, the frequency collapses into high-pitched static. The timestamp glitches backward for a full second before resuming. On the leaked version, that's when a whisper is faintly audible beneath the distortion. A whisper repeating Mercer's full name. No one on the team admitted hearing it that night, but when the digital analysts enhanced the audio, they realized the voice speaking his name was Lisa's, recorded 40 minutes before she vanished. The trail into the woods is overgrown, the path nearly erased by years of disuse. Mercer's flashlight beam shakes over wet branches, catching bits of yellow police tape fluttering in the wind. Carr walks ahead, her voice calm as she marks the perimeter on GPS. The audio distorts again. Her voice deepens, repeats her own sentence, but out of sync, as if the forest itself is echoing her words back. In the leaked file, you can see Mercer freeze, his breath trembling in front of the camera. Behind Carr, something passes. Not close, but too large to be an animal. The frame jumps, the timestamps skips. The sound of footsteps continues long after they've both stopped moving. Around 1:42 a.m., the footage becomes nearly unwatchable. Every third frame blurs, colors distort, and the radio hisses non-stop. But between the bursts of static, one word repeats in Morse tones. Back. Neither officer seems to notice. Carr turns suddenly, whispering, "Did you hear that?" Mercer answers, "No, what?" Viewers of the leaked version claim you can see movement directly behind her. A pale blur, gone in a blink. She shines her light and finds nothing. But her voice changes. She starts calling out names that don't exist. Elena! Mark? Names that never appear in the case file. Seconds later, her camera cuts to black. The leaked file ends abruptly at timestamp 1:46:23. The last 10 seconds are slowed, analyzed frame by frame online. Viewers claim to see an arm, long, jointless, stretching from behind a tree, followed by a face that isn't human but tries to be. Mercer shouts, his flashlight swings, and the lens captures it in perfect focus for only 3 frames. When the footage resumes, he's alone, breathing hard. The audio records his voice trembling. "Lisa, if you can hear me, don't answer it." Then silence, and the faint sound of his own name being spoken, softly, from the darkness. The footage resumes 20 minutes later. Mercer's breathing dominates the mic, sharp and panicked. His radio hisses endlessly, repeating fragments of Carr's last transmission. "Don't follow. Don't." Before dissolving into static, he calls dispatch again and again, but the only response is his own voice echoing back, distorted and slow. The forest feels tighter now. Every sound, a branch snap, a drip of rain, becomes unbearable. When he stops moving, the Bodycam catches faint movement behind him, a white blur crawling silently across the mud. Analysts later found the reflection of a human face in the lens at that moment, a face that doesn't belong to Mercer or anyone on record. Mercer follows Carr's footprints until they vanish into a narrow clearing. The old mine tunnel looms ahead, its entrance sealed by a rusted chain. His flashlight shakes as he approaches, the beam flickering like something is interfering with it. He finds Carr's badge lying in the mud. The timestamp freezes, jumps back 2 minutes, then resumes. Mercer whispers her name. From deep within the tunnel, the same voice answers, identical tone, identical cadence. But the sound isn't coming from a radio. It's coming from inside the tunnel, echoing just a little too perfectly. Mercer steps closer to the tunnel mouth, Bodycam shaking with each step. Lisa? He calls softly. The reply is perfect. Her voice, her exact inflection, repeating his words syllable for syllable. He steps backward, whispering, "That's not you." The tunnel's echo distorts the mimic's response into a stretched, almost metallic sound. Then the ground vibrates. Dust falls from above. Mercer bolts back toward the trail, tripping once. The camera captures something emerging briefly. A shape too tall, bending at impossible angles, moving like it's underwater. The video glitches with streaks of red pixels, freezing just as it reaches the frame. Dispatch logs confirm Mercer's last clear transmission at 2:04 a.m. The words are simple. Carr's gone. After that, his mic emitted a steady tone, one continuous, piercing frequency. Analysts later discovered that the tone, when mapped visually, resembled a waveform signature of a human voice repeating the word found. The footage from this point is erratic. Flashes of Mercer's boots, distorted faces from the reflection on the lens, strange patterns in the fog that seem almost geometric. One frame, when enhanced, shows two silhouettes, both Mercer, one standing, one crawling. The final minutes of the recovered file are silent. No sound, no radio. Mercer's camera tilts toward the ground, showing his boots stepping into the clearing where Carr disappeared. Suddenly, her voice returns, soft, distant, saying, "Danielle, I found a way out." He spins, but no one is there. The camera blurs, and for 3 frames, something stands behind him. Taller, thinner, wearing his same uniform. Then, with no transition, the footage ends. Detectives who viewed the uncut version claimed they heard something after the video stopped. Faint tapping, like fingers brushing against the lens from the inside. The video picks up not in the forest, but in a cramped, windowless review room inside the county sheriff's office. A wall-mounted screen loops the recovered footage, while Detective Alan Ford, age 47, watches in silence. His reflection shimmers faintly in the dark glass, overlapping with Mercer's terrified face on the screen. 2 officers stand behind him, whispering that they should delete the file before Internal Affairs arrives. Ford barely listens. On screen, Mercer's camera tilts. The static seems to pulse with a faint heartbeat rhythm. Ford pauses the frame and leans close, and for just an instant, his own reflection blinks separately from him. The footage was supposed to be corrupted, yet somehow it was watching back. Morning. Rain lashes the precinct windows. Ford receives the official order. Delete the recovered Bodycam footage immediately. The chief signs off with shaking hands, refusing to meet Ford's eyes. The reason given: data corruption, internal risk. But when Ford asks what kind of risk, no one answers. He stares at the folder labeled search footage. 10:12, cursor hovering over delete. The speakers emit a short burst of static, followed by Carr's voice whispering, "He's still out there." Everyone in the room freezes. Ford looks up. The chief's mouth moves, but her voice comes through the speakers instead. The feed distorts. Then the screen cuts to black. Later that night, Ford reopens the footage privately. He pauses on a single frame showing Mercer running through the woods, but in the reflection of Mercer's Bodycam lens, Ford sees something new, a human face that looks exactly like his own. staring directly at him. The timestamp on that frame reads November 2nd, 22. 21 days after Mercer vanished. The realization hits like ice. Either the file somehow recorded the future, or something in that footage has been watching ever since. Ford pulls out his phone and records the monitor. That clip, the one he shouldn't have taken, is what investigators would later call the contagion frame. Ford transfers the footage onto a personal USB drive, ignoring the department's security alerts. The power flickers twice. In the background audio, faint whispering can be heard. Fragments of Mercer's voice repeating, "Don't answer it." Ford ejects the drive and pockets it. For a moment, his reflection lags behind his movement, as if delayed. Security footage from that night shows him walking down the corridor, but frame-by-frame analysis later revealed a second shadow, following slightly out of sync. The copy was made, and from that point on, it was out of their control. At 3:14 a.m., the original file was deleted from the police servers, but the system logs record something impossible. 5 seconds after deletion, a new folder appeared on its own. It contained a single video named returnfeed.nov. When Tex opened it, the screen showed Ford's office in real time. Empty, except for his desk. Then a pale hand reached into frame from behind the chair, as if pushing the camera toward the viewer. The lights flickered. The feed ended with a single frame showing a face, human-like, but stretched, smiling wider than any human could. After that, the precinct's entire network went dark. It appeared online 3 months later. A nameless dark web account uploaded a 47-minute video titled October 12 Raw. Within hours, thousands had downloaded it, drawn by the rumor that it showed something the police refused to release. The video plays like found footage, distorted audio, looping static, glimpses of Mercer's face lit by flashlight. But somewhere in the middle, the file breaks its own structure. At timestamp 23:14, the video cuts to live security footage from an unknown location. A figure sits at a desk identical to Detective Ford's, but no one knows who's recording it. Cyber investigators traced the IP address to a laptop registered under Mercer's name, logged in 12 days after he vanished. The footage spreads fast. Streamers, paranormal forums, even skeptics start reacting to it. Most dismiss it as an ARG, until viewers report the same glitch mid-video. Their screens flicker, and the camera feed briefly mirrors their own room. Dozens claim they saw a figure behind them in the reflection. One viewer, a woman named Hannah Clark, age 25, posts a reaction clip. Mid-sentence, she stops talking, stares at the camera, and whispers, "It's behind you." The feed cuts. Police later confirm her webcam turned on by itself 3 hours after she disappeared. Her last recorded search was, "How to delete a video that once stopped playing." Cybercrime specialists from the State Bureau trace the leak to an anonymous server hosted in rural Pennsylvania. Agent Morgan Delane, age 39, downloads the file for analysis. Within minutes, his monitor flickers and goes black. The team records his workstation mirroring the same visual noise pattern from Mercer's Bodycam, frame for frame. Morgan steps away, pale and sweating, muttering, "It's learning." Later security footage shows him leaving the office, carrying a hard drive. He was never seen again. The next morning, the office lights flicked on by themselves, and every monitor displayed the same phrase: "Playback complete." The more people watched, the stranger it became. Users noticed that the footage seemed to respond, changing brightness, altering frame order, sometimes showing angles not present in the original file. Analysts realized the file size kept growing even when paused. On certain frames, watchers claimed to see their own reflections staring back, not in real time, but aged or changed. One viral clip showed a streamer watching the file as the reflection in her monitor smiled independently. When investigators downloaded the same version to test it, the smile appeared again, but this time, the reflection belonged to Detective Ford. By week's end, The file infects every network it touches. Government firewalls crash. Private devices loop the same final 10 seconds of the footage. Viewers report whispers through their speakers, even when the power's off. Somewhere deep in the metadata, an auto-generated note appears. Return feed active. Then a live image replaces the ending. A fog-filled forest, faint police lights flashing through the trees. A figure steps into view, wearing Mercer's torn uniform, his badge gleaming, but his face unrecognizable. He lifts the camera, turns it toward the viewer, and whispers the words that appear across every screen simultaneously. Do you remember watching this? 2 weeks after the leak, Detective Alan Ford begins receiving calls from an unlisted number. Each time, the caller ID reads, Mercer, Unit 7. But Mercer's line was deactivated the night he disappeared. Ford answers once. What he hears isn't a voice. It's breathing, uneven and close, followed by the faint click of a Bodycam turning on. Then silence. When he checks his voicemail later, it's filled with audio from his own office. Drawers sliding, footsteps, his chair moving, all recorded while he wasn't there. On the final message, a whisper says, "You shouldn't have copied it." Ford stares at his reflection in the office window, unsure if it blinked a moment before he did. Ford isolates a section of the leaked video. Timestamp 31:22. He enhances the audio, expecting background static. Instead, he hears his own voice, recorded in perfect clarity, whispering, "Don't let it see you." He never said those words. The deeper he scrubs the file, the more voices appear. Mercer's, cars, and others who shouldn't exist. One clip plays backward, revealing a hidden message that repeats, "We see you watching." His laptop screen flickers. The paused frame of Mercer in the woods suddenly twitches, eyes moving for half a second. Ford slams the lid shut, heart hammering, but the reflection in the screen stays smiling a moment too long. That night, the power cuts out in Ford's apartment. He lights a single candle, its flame trembling in the stale air. The silence presses in until he hears a faint tapping on the wall. Rhythmic, deliberate. He whispers, "Who's there?" And the answer comes from the darkness in his own voice, replying, "You are." He lifts his phone, its camera flickering to life without command, and for an instant, the screen shows him standing across the room, same clothes, same face, watching himself. The phone drops to the floor, recording only his ragged breathing. When he plays it back later, there are 2 sets of footsteps circling the mic. Ford returns to the precinct at 2 a.m., convinced he can destroy the original file. The building is silent, computers off, air heavy with stat. On a single monitor, the footage plays by itself, Mercer walking through fog, whispering Ford's name. Ford grips his gun, yelling for it to stop. The video answers, "You made me remember." He fires once. The bullet cracks the monitor. For a second, the screen freezes, showing Mercer's body turning toward the lens. Then, in perfect synchronization, Ford hears the same whisper behind him. "Don't answer it." The cracked monitor flickers back to life, displaying a reflection. Ford standing next to himself. The final recovered footage from Ford's apartment appears 2 days later, found on a cloud drive automatically synced from his phone. It shows him sitting before his camera, exhausted, muttering, "If you're watching this, don't let it call your name." Behind him, something moves. Tall, jointless, wearing his clothes. The image glitches violently, then stabilizes. Ford looks over his shoulder and whispers, "It's learning the words I haven't said yet." The feed dissolves into static. Analysts confirmed one last anomaly. A reflection of Ford still sitting there long after the recording ended, staring straight into the lens, lips moving silently, frame frozen forever. The first reports came from viewers who claimed they were dreaming in perfect first-person footage. The forest, the fog, the crackle of the Bodycam. Every sound matched the real file. One teenager described waking up to find mud on her shoes and a faint red timestamp glowing in the corner of her vision. Neurologists called it pattern imprinting. Paranormal forums called it infection. In one leaked clip, a sleep researcher plays the video on mute for testing. Midway through, her eyes roll back. Her monitor flashes the word playback. When she wakes up, she insists she saw Mercer walking through her own hallway. She never watched it again, but her reflection did. Across the country, devices begin activating on their own. Phones, laptops, televisions, all displaying the same 10-second sequence of fog and whispering. Cybersecurity teams can't locate the source. The metadata shows the file coming from the user's own IP address. One analyst, Jonah Wells, age 35, sets up a live stream to prove it's a hoax. Mid-broadcast, his feed duplicates 2 Jonahs on screen, one slightly delayed. As he laughs nervously, the second Jonah in the reflection keeps smiling long after the real one stops. The stream ends with a click, followed by a still image of fog expanding through the camera lens like breath on glass. A small government task force forms to contain the spread, led by Dr. Helena Roos, age 46, a behavioral scientist. She declares the footage an information parasite. Her team quarantines servers, burns drives, and restricts access. Yet every night, they dream of the same fog, the same whisper. Look behind you. Surveillance footage from the facility later shows Dr. Roussi walking alone through the data wick. But for a full 20 seconds, her reflection on the glass walls doesn't follow. It stays behind, watching. The next morning, she's gone, leaving only her ID badge and a monitor displaying the words, "We are recording." News channels begin covering the phenomenon cautiously, without showing footage. Yet even blurred screenshots seem to trigger something. Reporters complain of hearing whispers in their earpieces during live broadcasts. Viewers at home claim faces flicker in their TV screens for a single frame. One anchor, Michael Kerr, age 41, stops mid-sentence, his eyes glassy. The feed cuts to technical difficulty bars. When transmission resumes, he's gone. Behind the empty news desk, a faint human outline still stands in the reflection of the teleprompter glass, breathing in time with the static hum. Researchers analyzing the corrupted footage uncover a hidden sequence within the static. Frames forming a repeating symbol. It's not random noise. It's an image of the forest seen from above, shaped like an eye. The symbol appears in screenshots, dreams, and even water reflections near viewers' homes. It's as if the footage is expanding, mapping itself onto reality. Surveillance cameras in multiple states begin displaying fog inside closed rooms. Every lens now shows the same thing. A single pale hand reaching toward it, fingers brushing the screen. The infection isn't spreading through technology anymore. Technology is how it breathes. The footage resumes in static bursts. Ford's voice trembles as he speaks into a recorder. "If anyone finds this, don't play the file." The camera pans across Hollow Creek, the same valley from Mercer's final transmission. The air hums faintly, low, and electrical. He follows a signal trace leading to the mine entrance, still sealed, but breathing out a slow pulse of fog like exhalation. He calls out Mercer's name once. The echo answers in Carr's voice. He's waiting. Ford hesitates, then steps forward. The timestamp on his camera flickers, counting backward now. As he descends, the signal strengthens until the static resolves into a whisper. His own voice, recorded days ahead of time. Inside the mine, Ford descends into total blackness. The air grows warm, humid, metallic. Water drips rhythmically like ticking seconds. He records his voice, desperate, whispering, "I think it's not a place. It's a loop." The tunnel widens into a hollow chamber where walls shimmer as if covered in glass. Reflections of Mercer appear all around, dozens of him, each frozen mid-breath, flickering between pain and confusion. Ford steps closer to one reflection and realizes it's a mirror image of himself wearing Mercer's badge. The camera jitters violently, refocusing again and again, as though trying to choose which version of reality to keep. Ford lifts the camera toward one mirrored surface where a pale silhouette appears. It's the caller, tall, genderless, smooth-skinned, with jointless limbs that bend like water. Its mouth opens without sound, and Ford's own voice emerges from it. "You recorded me," he whispers, shaking. "What are you?" The caller tilts its head, the skin around its face rippling like film melting in heat. "What you made me," it replies in perfect sync with his lips. Then every reflection in the chamber begins to speak together. Mercer, car, Ford, all repeating. Playback complete. The tunnel vibrates, light bending, as though the entire space were made of digital glass shattering inward. The footage distorts as Ford drops the camera. For a moment, we see him from the outside. As though another lens is recording him, he turns toward the sound of his own breathing, realizing it's not coming from him at all, but from behind the lens. The caller moves closer, limbs folding in impossible ways, until its face presses gently against the camera. "We only wanted to show you," it says, "what you already saw." Then, abruptly, the feed rewinds. Mercer's voice shouting, Carr's whisper, Ford's reflection, all looping backward to the night the search began. The same forest, same fog. Only now the person holding the body cam isn't Mercer. It's Ford. The final seconds of the leaked tape are silent. The frame stabilizes on Ford's body cam feed, identical to Mercer's opening footage. He walks through the same forest, breathing heavy, muttering the same words. "If you find this, don't watch it." The timestamp resets to 001. The last frame freezes as a pale hand reaches toward the lens. Not Ford's, not Mercer's, something else, unseen, finishing the loop. On the dark web, the video renames itself automatically. October 12, remastered. Viewers who watch it report one final anomaly. When they pause the video, the frozen reflection in the lens blinks. Playback never ends. It only waits.